What is up, everybody? We are live. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. Happy Tuesday. I hope you guys enjoyed your 4th of July weekend. Make sure you guys are dropping comments as you get in here. Make sure you hit that like button, all of that good stuff. And I hope we can get through this whole live stream before, I don't know if it's been upgraded, but maybe Hurricane Elsa or Tropical Storm Elsa is heading on up towards Tampa, Florida. So hopefully we can get through this live stream without my Wi-Fi getting knocked out. But anyways, guys, as you're coming in here, thank you for joining me tonight. As always, guys, you being here is much appreciated. As I've said before, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff if you already haven't. And the 4 things I wanted to talk about tonight, because I find it very interesting. All of these things I find interesting. Of course, of course I do, or I wouldn't be talking about them. But we have to talk about Congresswoman Cori Bush and the lies, guys, the lies that this woman pushes, the lies, and it speaks to a deeper issue. You know, there's the victimhood mentality, and then there's the victor mentality. You know, you can overcome all things. You are not oppressed your whole life. You know, you can actually make it in America. That ideology, that reality, or the victim, you know, even if I'm balling like Cori Bush is, making over $100,000 a year, living in the neighborhood I want to live in, having my dream position. You know, maybe she thought of being a congresswoman for many years, all of those things that she accomplished, yet she will have the audacity to say that Black people and non-white people in America today are not free. So we have to talk about that. We also have to address this teacher union that's pushing for critical race theory to be taught in schools, and they want to defend the teachers who want to teach it. So, you know, so much for the whole narrative that, oh, this is not even in schools. This is just this is a boogeyman. That is what many people who are advocates for CRT, they're basically gaslighting us, saying, no, you're just seeing this. This is all, you're creating a boogeyman out of something that's not there. And the reality is we see what you're doing. You want to teach our kids that all white people are racist. You want our white boys and girls to walk in and check their privilege. You want Black and brown students to realize that they're oppressed and that they have to operate in the system of systemic racism a certain way. And at the end of the day, we see that you're liars, and we're pushing back against it. So no, critical race theory is not some boogeyman. It is a real deal ideology. It is a real deal theory that when it's put into practice, as we're going to see, I'm going to remind you just how racist it is and how destructive it is to teach this to kids, to elementary, middle, or high school kids. So it's not based in truth. And at the end of the day, guys, it is a pure lie. The third thing I wanted to talk about was I watched this video. I follow this channel on YouTube called Police Activity, and they break down. Sometimes they break down, and then sometimes they just show the body cam footage of officers as they're arresting certain people. And I want to show you guys this white young man getting arrested. And my whole thought behind this story is, where was white privilege here? You know, everybody wants to say the thing a lot of people say, well, if that person was white, if if Rayshard Brooks was white, that wouldn't have happened to him. If George Floyd was white, that wouldn't have happened to him. If all of these, Black martyrs were white, that wouldn't have happened to them. Well, what about if Jacob Blake was white, that wouldn't have happened to him? Okay, but what about this story right here? I want to show you guys this revolving a white young man getting arrested, detained, and then tased. And then the last thing I want to touch on is something I've talked about in my last video: who really supports defunding the police. So, guys, those are the 4 topics I want to get into. As you guys are getting in here, let me just remind you, I finally got my Patreon working again. So if you want to support the channel via Patreon, a link will be in the description below. It is also flashed right here. I'm also on PayPal and Cash App. guys, as you're getting in here, hit that like button one more time. If you're watching the live stream after the fact, hit that like button. If you're not already subscribed, consider subscribing, and we could just about get into this. Vicky, hello. Teacher unions must be abolished. Now, teacher unions, they are the ones who they're one of the biggest lobbyists in the American culture, and literally, like everybody else, I mean, this is true for me, this is true for you, this is true for everybody. We think about our interests first. So the teacher union interests, first and foremost, are whatever the leadership of the teacher unions, whatever interest them, that's what they're going to act on first and foremost. They're not here for the children. Their first priority is not children. Their first priority is themselves, their paycheck, and at the end of the day, gaining political power. That is what they are here for. And if you just follow the progression and the reality that human beings do what's best for themselves, obviously we could understand that teacher unions do what's best for them, not for all teachers, just for the ones who are the most influential. And then it's basically an authoritarian regime where top down makes the decision and everybody else has to get in line. So, abolishing teacher unions would probably be a good thing. Evan, systemic racism, when it was a 20th century problem, the BLM and defund the police movement is the most retarded crap I have ever seen in my life. And I agree with you. Systemic racism used to be prevalent against Black and brown people. Systemic racism used to be the answer for why certain people couldn't make it in this world. But now, as Evan says, this is a historic problem. This is a in the past problem. This is a, okay, guys, can we leave it in the past because we are past all of that? Now, some of the systemic racism that I see, if you want to call it that, is affirmative action, where we discriminate against white and Asian people for the sake of Black and brown people. And we're using this metric of skin color to usher in, underprivileged people based on their skin color. And Evan hits it out the park where he just says the fact of the matter, systemic racism, it's a 20th century problem. We are in the year 2021. It is July 6th, 2021. And systemic racism and all of this white supremacy crap, literally, it is propaganda pushed to keep certain people in power. Because if we actually assessed our lives, if Cori Bush looked at her life, she would realize that her life hasn't been affected by white supremacy. She became a Black woman in the U.S. government to hold significant power for her constituents. Now, if white supremacy was actually a force that was running rampant, like Joe Biden and some people in the White House say, then people like Cori Bush wouldn't be here. So thank you, Evan, for saying that, because your remarks are true. And it speaks to the reality that, racism in this day and age is overblown. And I believe this, let me see if I could get this quote right. It is by Thomas Sowell. I used to say it a lot. So Thomas Sowell goes on to say that racism is not dead, but it is on life support. It's kept alive by politicians, race hustlers, and people who get a sense of superiority by denouncing others as racist. And I think that astute observation is just what we need today to just sober this racial, all of these racial things people want to talk about. Let's realize that racism, of course, it's not dead. Of course, we're not going to eradicate it. Of course, there's going to be racist people, but it is on life support, and the evidence is the mounting the number of people. Hundreds of thousands of Black people that are rising out of poverty, Hispanic people rising out of poverty, and other historically oppressed groups rising out of poverty in America. So guys, that's on the agenda for today. Thank you guys for being here. As I've already said, one last time, guys, hit that like button if you already haven't. But let's go ahead and get started, guys, because tropical storm or hurricane, it might have been upgraded to a category 1. Hurricane Elsa is on its way to Tampa, Florida. So if this live stream cuts off, it is because I lost my Wi-Fi. So just friendly disclaimer right there. La Sombra de la Luz, hello. The race pimps and agitators are desperately keeping racism alive on life support. They want to keep minorities in a perpetual state of living in victimhood. And we're going to talk about that today because you have a choice. You could either be a victim your whole life, or you could choose to be a victor and rise above and then stop peddling all of the excuses of why there's so much disparity. One, disparity is the rule. Disparity is not something that's, we should, oh my goodness, because there's disparity, that means somebody's getting discriminated against. No, at the end of the day, disparity could easily be because you have one person is better than the other. Therefore, one person is going to get a better outcome than the other. And voila, we just created a disparity. So thank you, La Sombra de la Luz. The way I like to think about it real quick before we push into the first topic is think about level playing fields. Think about level playing fields in sports, because to me, sports is like, it speaks to real life. And in sports, there are winners, there are losers. Everybody wants to talk about equal playing field. Think about football. The football field is 100 yards by about 53 yards wide. It's flat on an NFL surface. It's fair. The terrain is nice. Everybody out there is dressed accordingly. Everybody has beautiful equipment. Everybody has what they need to succeed. Everybody on an NFL team has every single resource that they need to succeed. They literally have everything. They have coaches, they have trainers, they have access to world-class facilities. And at the end of the day, at the end of the season, there's a first place and there's a 32nd place, even though the playing field was flat and equal. And the deciding factor on that disparity between first place Super Bowl champs and the people who picked first in the NFL draft is execution, is the fact that some players are better than others. And that is the fact of life. So I really look at sports as, hey, look at all of the level playing fields in sports and look at the disparities that come out in sports. Why are we going to think in a world where I'm raised differently than you? You have a different value set than me. You have different experiences than me. I have different experiences than you. And then we look at all of this data and think that we're not supposed to see a humongous amount of disparity. And then when we do see disparity, it's because of discrimination and racism, duh. Of course, it's not, it's not because of skill set. It's not because of being determined. It's not because of execution or some sort of circumstance. There's a reason why the Jacksonville Jaguars, shout out Duval County. I love Duval County, but the Jacksonville Jaguars were absolute trash last year. There's a reason why they picked number 1 in the NFL draft. And there's a reason why the Bucs won the Super Bowl. And it's all because of skills and executing and making the most out of your opportunity and overcoming adversity. All of those things that we see in sports plays a huge role in real life. So let me go ahead and dive into these topics, guys. Thank you so much for being here on this Tuesday night. Let me get myself off my little preaching box. So we have got to talk about, first and foremost, Cori Bush. My goodness. Why are these people so just dedicated to screaming victim every single chance they get? Cori Bush goes on to tweet, when they say that the 4th of July is about American freedom, remember this: the freedom they're referring to is for white people. This land is stolen, and the black people's this is the best part. And black people still aren't free. Oh my goodness. How many different directions can we go with this? Now, obviously, we could say, there's two kind of trains of thoughts around here. There's the George Foreman, where George Foreman, and patriotic former boxer, says, don't leave America. Love it. Just love it, guys. I'm black. I've been successful. Just love America. America's great. You could have that stance against Cori Bush. You could also have the stance, which I kind of tend to agree with, when Donald Trump got up there and said to the squad and AOC, if you don't like it, leave. Go to a country and turn their government around. If America is so rotten, then go somewhere else. All right. We could have those two stances, but let's just get the record straight. All right. Let's get the record straight. Cori Bush is not some abolitionist. She's not. She's not an abolitionist. She's not speaking from the same respect of Frederick Douglass. She's not speaking from civil rights leader and activist Martin Luther King. She's not coming at it from, she has nothing in common with those people. She has nothing in common when she talks about black people are not free. She's not a Frederick Douglass. She's not a Martin Luther King. She is a race-obsessed, tribalism of race, social justice advocate, racial tension. She is a liar. She promotes racial tension. She is a liar. That is what she is. And she's coming at this from a place of privilege. It's funny how the people who talk about white privilege and the fact that black people and brown people are oppressed are extremely privileged, like Cori Bush. She is coming at this from a place of power and prosperity. Like I've said, she's a liar, and her leadership will only lead more black and brown people, the people that actually sit under this and believe this. It's only going to lead them into more bondage, to being a victim. A victim mentality is what she's pushing. It's literally what she's pushing. When they say that the 4th of July is about American freedom, remember this: the freedom they're referring to is for white people. This land was stolen, and black people still aren't free. Now, if you just bring your attention over to her little bio right here. All right, if you guys can see this, her bio, it's Congresswoman. I believe that's Missouri District 1. Anyways, I think she's a congresswoman in St. Louis, but she's a congresswoman, a nurse, an activist, an organizer, a single mom, somehow a pastor, leading with radical love, fighting for regular people. Yep, St. Louis. Okay. So mind you, that's her bio. So her own bio debunks her ridiculous claim that black people aren't free. Okay. If you're not free, it kind of sounds like you have a lot of freedoms to accomplish the things that you've accomplished. So it really sounds like a lot of there's a lot of titles there, and there's a lot of power for somebody that's not free. Cori Bush, you're black, so that means you're not free. So what exactly, how were you able to become a congresswoman? How exactly were you able to become a nurse? How exactly were you able to become an activist, an organizer, a single mom, a pastor, if you weren't free? I don't get the logic of these people. One of the best tweets that I saw in response to her came from this this Twitter user right here, Double Bubble. Lady, you make more money in 1 year than I have made in my entire life, and I bet you live way more comfortably than my family does. I'm white. My husband is white. My kids are white. And we lost everything a few years ago, and now live in an income-based apartment and drive a 2001 car, but you aren't. And obviously our hearts go out to the family that was affected by losing everything. And it just speaks to the fact of the matter is this, that tragedy can touch all of us. You're not in some white privilege bubble. The way that Democrats and people that push critical race theory and social justice conspiracy theorists, when they talk about white privilege, they come at it from this point of, oh, well, white people White people don't experience, this hardship. The privilege that they are recipients of elevate them to some sort of. I mean, it's really just a lot of people just idolize. They idolize white people. It's crazy to me. They don't say they idolize white people, but then again, they do idolize white people because their standard is white people. So I'm not with that. I don't want to compare myself to white people my entire life, but that's what the social justice movement has done. And people like Cori Bush are just going to continue to help people engage in this victim mentality, like we've talked about. So, there's different ways, and I've said this earlier, to look at the world. You could look at the world through oppressors oppressed, rich poor, victim victor. And sadly, people like Cori Bush promote the victim mentality to the people that listen to her. So despite how sad that is, I wanted to show you guys two channels that I follow. And I follow them because, one, they're just great channels and they offer great financial advice. And they just share their story and what they do to accumulate wealth. And, here's the thing, they're both Black. So I thought it would be great because people don't want to talk about just the absolute enormous number of Black people who are out here balling. They are out here thriving. They are out here making great decisions. They are out here practicing the victor mentality, and they're not caught up in politics. These two channels I'm going to show you real quick, they're not political channels. They're literally just they're vlogs, and they show you what they've done to accumulate the wealth that they've come across. One of them, Richard Fain. All right. I've watched him for about a year now. And the man, he's an older Black man. And all he does is he enriches his community. He enriches the people who listen to him because he just tells you, hey, do this. Hey, stop spending money here. Hey, stop wasting your time trying to impress people. You really have to think long term. You have to invest long term. You have to think long term. And these are the type of people that not just the Black community needs. Everybody needs to hear this. All right. And he has some super, flashy sports car. He has like 4 of these types of cars, around $100,000 each, sitting in his garage. And as you guys can see, this is the type of stuff, how I built 5 streams of income, and fired my 9-to-5 job. So he literally tells you that he fired his employer. He said, you know what, screw this 9-to-5. I'm going to go out here and build 5 streams of income. I'm not going to have this victim mentality. I'm going to have a victor mentality. I'm not going to have the typical, or not typical, because guys, it's not typical to have a victim mentality. Or at least if it is typical, you need to do everything you can to rid yourself of it, because success is right there for you, but you have to work at it. Anyways, so Cori Bush obviously adds nothing to the lives of Black people, even though she's in a more powerful position than Richard Fain. All right. And it's sad to say that I find more inspiration from Richard Fain, more clarity, more ideas from Richard Fain than I do a person in politics who's supposed to be a leader of the free world. My goodness. And the second channel I wanted to show you guys, and you guys can go check these people out for yourself. If you don't like the content that they make, then whatever, if you like it, if you don't like it, I'm not here. I'm just showing you what shapes me and what encourages me. And After Hours with Anton Daniels, another Black man, African-American man, lives in Detroit, has built up his YouTube channel. According to everything that I've watched from him, he's balling. He's about getting the bag. He's about making money. And these are the type of Black people that need to be front and center, because what they show us is in America, and this is the point on why I'm showing you this, in America, Black people are free. Despite what Cori Bush says, Black people are free. Anton Daniels is free. Richard Fain is free. ABL is free. Brandon Tatum is free. Candace Owens is free. Coleman Hughes is free. Thomas Sowell is free. And we could go on and on and on. The black guy from Shark Tank, gosh, I can't remember his name. Anyways, he's free. And the difference between what they do and what people in poverty do is that they take responsibility to manifest something great in their life, and they make good choices year after year, month after month, week after week, day after day. You know, and you know, he writes about stuff like this, you know, avoid burnout, stay motivated. Key thing, stay motivated. And he just took a trip actually down here to Tampa, and I was watching one of his vlogs, and what he was saying was so good, because what he was saying was, hey, life is about building yourself up, edifying yourself, getting skills that will help you propel yourself forward. And these are the type of people that I sit under and listen to, because they don't have an ounce of the victim mentality. All they do is say, hey, there's a way to win. This is how you win. This is how I've won. I'm not going to sit back and blame being broke on anybody else except myself. Looking at some of the comments, DB, thank you for doing this show. I tried to find reports on CNN about the violence in Chicago this past weekend. Nothing there. Nothing. If you don't condemn violence, you perpetuate it. Shameful. DB, and that's the thing. You have to understand, and I'm pretty sure you do, that you can't go to CNN to look for shooting reports or death tolls in Chicago. You just can't. That's like you know, that's like going to the Sahara Desert trying to find a 5-course meal. You know, it's not there. It's just not there. But the fact of the matter is, Chicago has been a place of just death. It's been a place of death, and people aren't going to talk about it, because let's just think about this real quick. If the mainstream narrative is that white supremacy and whiteness and white privilege is the reason why all of these bad things happen to black and brown people, then wouldn't it just rip against that narrative if we started showing more and more black on black crime? Like, hey, in these hoods, it's not the white people, it's not white supremacy killing these people. It is black people, it is brown people killing other black and brown people more. And they show that like never. And then the one time a white cop shoots a black man in Chicago, boom, it's front and center. Like, hey, look at this, you know, and it's absolutely terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But DB, thank you for being here. Vicky says, I guess she never heard of Abraham Lincoln. No, she hasn't. You know, a very famous abolitionist, as well as one of our former presidents. Yes, she's not coming at this from a place of knowledge. She is coming at this, Cori Bush is, from a place of ignorance. She's ignorant woman. If you make the claim that black people are not free in 2021, you are a liar and you are ignorant. And honestly, it's not ignorant. You're a liar. If you can make the claim that black people today are not free, you are lying. There's no laws locking up black people. Black people are free. They're free under the law, and they're free under the Constitution to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So, you know, guys, it's absolutely crazy that some of these people like Cori Bush will continue to peddle this narrative that black people are not free in 2021. You know, they are. People like me, we're free. And the ones that aren't free are because most of the time they're criminals breaking the law. And at the end of the day, if you're going to be a criminal and break the law and disobey the laws of the land, you just might lose some of your freedoms. Sorry. All right. Brandy Turquoise says, lurking, and smash that like button. Thank you, Brandy, so much for the support. God bless you. I really appreciate you guys being here on this Tuesday evening. Just a quick reminder, guys, as Brandy said, if you already haven't, make sure you like, comment, share. And if you're not subscribed and you like what you've heard thus far, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. And I want to remind you guys, I finally got my Patreon back up. So if you want to support the channel and you guys find my channel edifying, encouraging, insightful, and you just want to support the channel because you want to support more conservatives on YouTube, you guys can look at the link down there in the description below. Patreon, PayPal. You could also find me on Cash App. And guys, hit that like button again. Thank you so much for being here and participating by dropping comments, because I love having a discussion and talking with you guys and seeing what you guys are talking about in the comment section below. So with all that said, guys, enough of Cori Bush. She's a lost soul. She's a person who has reached, she has reached absolute prosperity in America. And yet she wants to talk about being not free and being oppressed. The second topic I wanted to talk to you guys about, and remember, there's only 4, so we're on topic number 2, just in case you guys are tuning in right now. Teacher unions are pushing for critical race theory to be taught, and they are also pushing for teachers to not get in trouble if they teach this crap. Now, it's a mess. Because some people have been saying, well, it's not even being taught in schools. It's not even being taught in K through 12. Okay. And then some people are saying, oh, you conservatives are just you're creating a boogeyman out of CRT. Okay. All right. Well, some people are even saying, oh, it's un-American. It's un-American. I read this article from the New York Times. It was like 4 people who wrote it. One of them being David French. David French, he's supposed to be a conservative, but in this article, he really sounded more like a liberal. And they were saying how blocking critical race theory in schools via laws is un-American. And at the end of the day, guys, we have to be able to articulate this fact that we want to teach our kids good things, not bad things, right things, not wrong things, virtuous things, not evil things. At the end of the day, for that to be true, we have to be able to distinguish between those things. And the fact of the matter is, critical race theory is a lie. And I've talked about critical race theory so much, during my time being a YouTuber. And if you haven't, you guys could check out my playlist, Critical Race Theory Exposed. And one of the things that makes it a lie, there's many things that make it a lie, is how they write in their literature that racism is normal. Racism is what's experienced by Black and brown people every day. It's not aberrational. It's normal science. It's the normal way society does business. Society normally practices racism. Therefore, Black and brown people in America in 2021, kids sitting in a kindergarten class, 3rd grade class, 5th grade class, 7th grade class, if you're Black and brown, you're going to experience a large amount of racism in your life. And if you're white sitting in here, your parents are oppressors. That's number 1. And you are going to be little oppressors. Number 2. Okay. So, you guys, it's absolutely garbage. And, we have to speak out against it because it's the victim mentality and it's just lies. Like, critical race theory is one big lie to try to, take power away from the perceived people in power. Oh, we got to take this power away from these white people. Therefore, let's create this theory that uproots all of their systems and deems America completely, irredeemably, systemically racist. And then let's perform, like Black Lives Matter did, a grand extortion. You guys have to understand that what Black Lives Matter did was they pulled off a grand extortion of money through by extorting millions of dollars from these big time corporations. It was basically a cash heist. Think about a bank robbery. Bankers plan this. They run into the bank. They hold people up. They get the money. They leave. That's what Black Lives Matter does. And that is what critical race theory is aiming to do. It's aiming to point the gun at white people and demanding that they repent. So the story coming to us from U.S. News. All right, U.S. News. Written July 6th. So today, union will defend teachers in critical race theory fights. One of the nation's largest teachers unions is promising to defend members who are punished for teaching an honest history. Remember that, an honest history. because it's honest to tell kids that America today is this is essentially the same as America in 1921. That there have been no gains in racial tensions. There have been no big victories for people who are not white. There have been no huge overthrowing of laws that abolished codified law. Jim Crow laws were actually abolished, and a new regime, a new more inclusive, I hate that word inclusive, but a new law of the land was ushered in by the under the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and we've gone under a transformation. America is radically transformed to be a place where Black and brown people can thrive. But no, critical race theory doesn't want to focus on that. Critical race theory literally wants to live in the past. It is like a trivia, guys. It is like a trivia game. When did America get founded? 1776 or 1619? Little Susie says 1776. Wrong, because according to Nicole Hannah-Jones, it's 1619. And she's aspired. If she's not a critical race theorist, she is definitely influenced by critical race theory. So, now these teacher unions want to fight for the right for teachers to teach this racism, because that's what it is. It is racism against white people. One of the nation's largest teachers unions on Tuesday vowed to defend members who are punished for teaching an honest history of the United States, a measure that intended to counter the wave of states seeking to limit classroom discussion on race and discrimination. Now, here's the framing of it, because one, they're trying to control the story by saying that conservatives, Republicans, and people who are anti-critical race theory, they're trying to limit the discussion. They don't want open discussion. They want to thwart all discussion around race. They don't want to talk about race. And it's not simply that. We're not out here saying we don't want to talk about race. We don't want to limit discussions of race in the classroom. We want to limit lies in the classroom. And it is a lie to tell kids in K through 12 that America is systemically racist. It is a lie to tell kids that America is just a product of white supremacy. It's a lie to tell people that, America is routinely racist. Its normal way of doing business is racism, and that's what critical race theory teaches. So it's not that we want to, limit classroom discussion around race. We want to limit a specific conversation around race. And I want to show you guys make no mistake about it. This is what they're trying to teach. They're trying to teach this. When they say critical race theory, they're not just going to sit there and give a person a book and say, hey, read this book. Critical race theory, it's one of many theories. It's, you have to believe in the theory of evolution, learn about that. You have to believe in or learn about the tectonic plate theory. You have to read, there's a lot of theories that students have to be exposed to just to get a better understanding of the world around them. All right. This is not one of those theories because, one, it's not a theory. It's activism. Continental drift, the theory of continental drift has nothing to do with activism. Okay. Evolution is not an activist dimension. It doesn't have an activist dimension in it, but critical race theory has a activist proponent to it. And it calls people to abolish the structure of whiteness. And whiteness is a conspiracy theory. Some people literally walk around here thinking that, whiteness needs to be abolished. Now, let me show you guys this because this is really important. This is an old story, but I thought it was very good to bring up because when you see this, think of critical race theory. Now, if this person, Barner Hess, if he's not a critical race theorist, that doesn't matter because these ideas they grow from critical race theory. This is what happens when you sit down and you idolize race and you study race for many years in college, like think of the worthless degree of whiteness studies, the worthless degree of blackness studies, all of these ethnic studies, which really the only person it benefits is the teacher who's making money off of that knowledge. Everybody else, I mean, it's garbage, because when it gets introduced to the community at large, this is what it turns into. You guys have seen this before. NYC, coming from New York Post, NYC public school asks parents to reflect on their whiteness. Really? Okay. You want us to reflect on our whiteness. You want us to what ideology is this again? What is the teacher unions trying to fight for? This right here. They're trying to fight for this. They're trying to say that teachers that teach this shouldn't have any repercussions. Teachers that teach this should still be teachers. Teachers, remember how they frame the conversation? Oh, they want to limit. Conservatives want to limit honest discussion about honest history. No. We're not trying to limit honest discussion about honest history. We're trying to limit the discussion on this BS right here. Hand students a pamphlet that says, hey, bring this home to your mom and dad and go reflect on your whiteness. Yeah. East Side Community High School principal Mark Fetterman reportedly sent a survey to white parents asking them to identify their level of whiteness. So the woke offensive at East Side Community School in Manhattan features a ranking list titled "The 8 White Identities," which ranges from white supremacist to white abolitionist. So right there, what they're trying to teach our kids is this: you want to be a good white person? Then you need to be a white abolitionist. Do you want to be a bad, evil white person? Then you're going to be a white supremacist. And here's the kicker: you all start off as white supremacists or somewhere really close. All right, all white people start off as white supremacists, or we're going to talk about the notch up, because it goes white supremacist really bad, and then the notch up is like, okay, you're not a white supremacist, but you're definitely not an abolitionist, and that's the goal, Johnny. That's the goal, Susie. Be a white abolitionist. And this is what the teacher unions are out here trying to defend. My goodness. All right, so the curriculum, written by Barner Hess, an associate professor of African American studies. I mean, I couldn't think of a more worthless degree. Like I said, for Barner Hess, okay, that degree is worth something because it's worth your job. You're employed by Northwestern University. You probably have tenure at this point. Okay, you've made a good living idolizing race and thinking about race every single day. Okay, I get it. Okay, but I mean, think about the rest of the people who aren't Barner Hess, who aren't Robin DiAngelo. I mean, they're literally wasting their money at school learning about African American studies, because this is what happens when you study African American studies at Northwestern University for many years. You become like delusioned as to the white identity, and you become racist, because to say there are only 8 white identities, that's racist. Imagine if I said, okay, there's 8 black identities. Over here, the worst is black gangbanger. And then over here, the best type of black person is Barack Obama. And then from here to here, just fill them in. Think of the worst black stereotype all the way to the best black stereotype. If I actually believed that there were 8 black identities, I would call myself a racist, and Barner Hess is a racist. Now, you guys take a look at this, because this is what they want to teach our kids, that the 8 white identities: white supremacist, white voyeurism, white privilege, white benefit, white confessional, white critical, white traitor. You've traded your white supremacy privilege, and then you finally become a white abolitionist. This is the things that they want to teach the children of the United States of America. And here is a little cheat sheet so that you can pass your critical race theory exam You could look at this and you could learn that what it means to have white privilege means you may critique white supremacy, but you have a deep investment in questions of fairness and equality under the normalization of whiteness and white rule. Sworn goal of diversity. Okay, I don't really know what that means, but okay. So I'm a grown person and I've read this article 3 times. I don't even know what that means, but hey, we're going to have teachers who aren't Barner Hess, who haven't majored in African American studies, teach this to our kids. And then let's look at white critical. Take on board critiques of whiteness and invest in exposing, marking the white regime. Because all of this is about, I mean, it's complete propaganda. The white regime is a conspiracy theory. Refuses to be complicit with the regime, whiteness speaking back to whiteness. So that's white people saying, gosh, you're racist. Can't you just come into reality that you're a racist? And we need to have all these anti-white policies to help equal the playing field. It's about equity. It's not about equality anymore. It's about, affirmative action. It's about all of these things that are supposed to help empower Black and brown people, because we as a white nation have been privileged year after year, and it's time for us to give our privilege to them. I mean, guys, can you see how ridiculous this is? I mean, it's hard to look at. And then one other piece I was going to show you, but for the sake of time, I'll skip it. I'm not going to show you the video because I've covered this before, and this I covered this part in one of my last videos, titled, I believe it's called "A Fatal Flaw in Critical Race Theory." It's one of my more recent videos, but it's from the Federalist, and as you guys can see, what privilege do you have? You're white, middle-aged, cisgender, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, through this link, the Federalist, the title is Washington State Mandates Critical Race Theory in All Public Schools. They attach this nice teaching that these people at the Highline School District are going through. And this guy right here, he comes to the conclusion that if you're Black, you can't be racist. You can discriminate against white people, but that doesn't make you racist. Okay. And that's the logic that they're trying to teach. And it's absolutely insane. And it's terrible. At the end of the day, we have to be able to continue to push against it. And no, it's not a boogeyman. Yes, it's out here. Yes, this ideology has been perverting the minds of many people for decades. And for the people trying to gaslight us, saying, "Oh, it's not even something that's in K through 12." Yeah, and we want to keep it that way. We want to make sure that there's laws that bar kids from being exposed to lies. This is not a perspective debate. This is not a, hey, you see it this way, I see it that way. But there's two rational conclusions to this. So let's teach it. Let's teach both. No, it's not that. It is flat out critical race theory is state-sponsored racism. Okay. It is state-sponsored racism. All right, looking at some of these comments. Uber, what's up, my dude? Duval County, how you doing out there? Ayo, dog, hurricane party or what, brother? Toast up for Hurricane Elsa and stay safe. Rain's coming down here. Yeah, man, the storm is probably going to hit Tampa at like 11, 12 at night. I don't know, but, we're used to it. We're built for this. I don't have flood insurance, so hopefully I don't get flooded. DB says, I haven't donated to the channel in a while, but happy I have the Cash App to support you today. Wish I could do more. DB, thank you so much. Whatever you have done today in this moment, that is more than enough. So I appreciate you supporting the channel in that capacity. No matter what it is, guys, you being here is truly a gratitude for me. If you could tell, I'm sitting in my garage, right? I got no AC in here. I got a small 3-bedroom house and I have 4 kids. So my only recording spot is my garage, and I'm in Florida and it's hot. So, sitting in here with you guys watching, I'm grateful for that. So DB, thank you for supporting the channel. via a fiscal donation. I appreciate you. Vicky Carden says, I see more and more parents are fighting against CRT. Yes. And it's because, it's because of people like Chris Rufo, who have been attacking this ideology for months, if not years, and bringing it to the attention. Because let's just be honest. Like, most people aren't sitting here idolizing race. Most people aren't sitting here saying, "Oh, I'm oppressed. I need to be not oppressed. I'm oppressor versus oppressed. I'm victim. I'm victor." Like, most people are just trying to survive. Most people are just trying to get their kids to a decent school, and their kids do their homework and they pay their bills. They work on their marriage. They work on their relationship. They try to move forward. They're not sitting here thinking about one little sliver of ideology known as critical race theory. So these are the type of things that can sneak into public schools without being checked because everybody's busy. But because people like Chris Rufo, and other people like Vodi Bakum, if you're a Christian, if you are a Catholic, if you are any type of person who's involved in the religious community, you need to read the book Fault Lines. And I'm going to put that in the comment section. But Fault Lines by Vodi Bakum, I'm going to misspell his name, and that's okay, because once you type it in, it's going to pop up. But Fault Lines by Vodi Bakum, and he talks about, from a Christian perspective, just how twisted critical race theory is, the origins of it. And so people like Chris Rufo, people like Vodi Bakum, people like Samuel Say, another Christian believer who speaks against critical race theory, Ben Shapiro, the big talking heads, those people, they are the ones who are really telling people, hey, you need to wake up because this is coming for your child. This is coming for your child. So you need to speak up. So yes, Vicky, more and more parents are fighting against CRT, and I'm glad to see that. La Sombra de la Luz says, for anybody to say it's not racist if you're insert your race or ethnicity, I say this: any and everyone is capable of exhibiting racism, period. And yes, La Sombra de la Luz, that is the fact of the matter. That is the reality. It doesn't matter what color you are. I can be racist. My black friend could be racist. But here's the little game they play. They don't call it racism. They call it discrimination, because they believe that racism can only be practiced by people who are in power. And since they believe the conspiracy theory that the white regime of whiteness is the ultimate power in America, they're able to say, well, only white people can be racist. Everybody else can just be discriminatory. Okay, thanks. It's absolute garbage logic. And it aims to convict white people before they've ever committed the crime. You're convicted of being a racist before you've ever committed the crime of racism. And that's one of the bad things about this. Guys, I want to transition to the third topic of tonight, because it is a good one. It's going to be a brief video. We're only going to watch the first 3 minutes or so. We're not going to watch more than that. But I think you guys are going to like this because it pushes back against the narrative of police brutality. This white man right here, he gets caught up, and everybody has heard the people say, well, if Rayshard Brooks was white, if George Floyd was white, if Jacob Blake was white, if so-and-so was white, this wouldn't have happened to him. And guys, this guy doesn't get killed, but he is on the receiving end of a lot of force. And if he was black, then some people could easily say, just like the lawyer of, I can't remember the guy's first name, but I covered this story. I cannot remember his name. Last name Price, the two brothers, the attorney says they shouldn't have felt this type of force. Okay. So if this guy was black, there would be an attorney standing up in front of national television saying he shouldn't have been slammed to the floor like that. It was too much. It was too much. So guys, I want to watch the first 3 minutes of this because it's absolutely hilarious. Here's a little bit of context. Flagler County, so Flagler County here in Florida, Flagler County's Sheriff's Office officer, Sergeant Daniel Weaver, witnessed 26-year-old Raymond Glass. So Raymond Glass is the white man in custody right now, walking down US Highway 1 with a 30-year-old woman that has an active no contact order against Glass. So we have this young white man in the same area of a person that he's not supposed to be around by court order. He has a no contact order. The injunction was put in place by the Warren County Sheriff's Office in New York on July 31st, 2020, and is not set to expire until July 30th, 2023. This injunction is known to Sergeant Weaver as he accompanied the Bunnell Police Department on January 9th, 2021, when Glass was arrested for violating this injunction. Sergeant Weaver turned his patrol vehicle around and approached the couple, which caused Glass to speed up and attempt to walk away from the victim. Sergeant Weaver called for Glass to come to him and sit on the front of the patrol vehicle while he pushed to figure out who Glass's probation officer was. Raymond Glass, quickly became argumentative with law enforcement and claimed that walking near the victim was not a violation of his probation, which was inaccurate. So Mr. Raymond Glass, if he had white privilege, let me just say this, because, there's the obvious. People think, oh, white privilege. If white privilege was real, then this is what would happen in this scenario. This white young man would tell the cop that he's not breaking his probation. The cop would just believe him. He would not be thrown to the floor. He would actually be let go. The cop would take his word for it. The cop would support him. The cop would escort him home. The cop would maybe give him a friendly reminder, hey man, just stay away from her. If it was white privilege, maybe some of those things would be the logical conclusion. This white young man gets away. This white young man doesn't become the recipient of police force. But because white privilege is a lie, you guys are going to see that the cops do what they do, and they handle people who do not obey and comply. Take a look.
Come here. Raymond, come here. What are you walking away for?
I continue walking.
I know.
Why am I being stopped?
Because you're on probation.
Yes.
And one of your conditions is you can't be near her.
I'm not anywhere near her. I was right in front of her.
Stop it, my man.
Sir, I was right in front of her.
Who's your PO?
I don't know yet.
What do you mean you don't know?
I have my first appointment tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
But you signed the paperwork.
I'm not technically not near her. I wasn't talking to her. I wasn't doing
Bro,
anything.
you guys were walking
contact.
side by side.
I had
on US
contact.
1. All right, come over here. Let me see if I can call your PO.
Right. That's not right.
Are you in handcuffs?
No, but still, you're just going to try to arrest me now?
No, right there in front of my car. Over here.
No, you're going to try to arrest me now.
For what? I got to call your PO and see if you're allowed to be around her.
No, I'm not. I'm not allowed around her, but I wasn't even looking at her.
You guys were walking side by side on US 1.
Did you see me talking to her, though?
Doesn't matter.
That's not contact. No.
Stop it.
That is not contact. If I'm sitting here walking,
Stop
that's not
it.
contact.
No, not here. You went in front of her. Back there, you guys were side by
I
side.
still never talked to her.
Okay, just relax.
No,
Let me call you.
Right. No,
here's your PO.
You guys are going to arrest me. I don't know who my PO is.
Well, I'm going to pull the paperwork and see.
No, you're going to see, but you're going to go and arrest me.
I'm going to call them and see.
All I was doing, I was walking right in front.
No, you're walking side by side.
Me over, I was walking right.
Well, yeah, but when I first saw you, you're walking side by side.
Arrest me.
All right, so real quick pause. This is what you call argumentative. All right, and I don't care if you're black, brown, white, or any other color. If you become argumentative, guys, it's the progression. For obviously, step number one, you're doing something wrong. He has a no contact order to be around this girl that he's with. So he breaks that. Then second thing, he gets caught. Then third thing, he becomes argumentative. And it's just an escalation that is common time and time again when you see people come into contact with law enforcement. And this is what would happen if the person was black. This is what would happen if the person was brown. This is what's happening to this white man who's supposed to have so much white privilege, and police officers are supposed to be the ones who are just out there hunting black people, all of that stuff. But yet now they're stopping this white young man who's clearly breaking the law, and they're doing their job, which 99% of the time, that is what they are doing anyways.
I was not talking to her. I did
You
nothing
can't have
to her.
any contact with her.
There was no contact.
You're walking side by side with her,
Okay,
bro. Come
passing
on.
her.
No, not
Yes,
passing
I
her.
passed her.
On
Let
US
me
1.
see the camera footage then.
All right, put your hands behind your back.
No, see, you
Put your
can't
hands behind your
arrest
back.
me. You can't
Put your
arrest
hands
me.
behind your back. Don't
How are you
resist.
gonna arrest me?
Resisting.
resist.
Here we
How can you
go.
arrest me?
Don't resist.
No, you gotta ask me. No,
Don't resist.
No, sir. How
Put
can
your
you
hands
arrest me?
behind your back.
How can you arrest me?
Put your hands behind your
I'm not
back.
fighting. I didn't do nothing
Raymond,
wrong.
put your hands behind your back.
No, it's not resisting. How are you guys arresting me?
110. This is not.
How you guys arresting
Put
me?
your hands behind your back.
No, how you guys arresting me?
Raymond,
How you guys arresting me?
put your hands behind your back.
No. Then would you let me
I
go?
need it coming in as well.
Let me go. I will be fine.
Put your hands behind your back. Quit tensing up.
I'm not tensing.
Do it now.
Okay, so I'll call police brutality if you guys slam me to the ground. 'Cause
Put your arms behind your back.
I'm not resisting.
Oh! Police brutality!
Police.
You're gonna get tased. Put your hands behind your back.
Police brutality!
Put your hands behind your back.
Tase me.
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
Listen,
Put
you
your
can't
hands behind your back.
I've been stabbed. You can't
Put
tase
your hands behind.
That's like the line of the video. You can't tase me. I've been stabbed. I mean, what does that mean? What does he think's going to happen? Oh, because he's been stabbed in his past, the officer is not supposed to use a taser anymore. I don't understand. Is that police protocol? If he hears that, he's supposed to drop his taser. But as you guys see, things are just escalating, and it doesn't look like it's going well for this young man. You know, despite what the left wants to say, despite what radical Democrats want to say, despite what social justice warriors want to say, you see a white officer's hands pointing a taser at a white young man who's already on the floor. Now, some people would cry and call this foul if the skin color was a little bit darker.
Your back.
You cannot tase
Do it now.
Sir, you can't tase me.
Put your hands behind your
You
back.
can't tase me. I'll have a lawsuit. No.
Put your hands behind your back.
You can't tase me.
Put your hands behind your
Police
back.
brutality. Okay.
Put your hands behind your back.
Okay. Police
Back up. Back up. Babe, put this on camera.
Police
You're already on camera.
I've just
So there you have it, guys. Babe, put this on camera. And then she goes, well, no. And, you know, honestly, she's probably a victim. Like if he has a no contact order with her, you know, maybe she's been a victim of some sort of abuse by him in the past. But guys, I mean, you know, where was white privilege there? Wasn't it supposed to end better for him? Wasn't the officers supposed to treat him nicer? Weren't the officers not supposed to throw him on the floor? Wasn't the officers not supposed to deploy the taser? I mean, I'm just asking the question. Can somebody please answer? Wasn't it supposed to end up better for him due to his skin color? The obvious answer is no. And footage like that, I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, you could pull up different channels that show police body cam footage, and you see that police interact with everybody, and they use force on everyone. They're not out here just harassing the black and brown community. No, they are harassing the people who are breaking the law. And that is a hard pill for some people to swallow. But at the end of the day, police officers are here to handle people like him who are breaking the law, which is why on this channel, we back the blue and all of that good stuff. Uber says, jumping into some of these comments, Uber says, "Ayo, dog, when the hurricane comes, go outside with the American flag and fly it proudly. Fly it proudly in hand with a beer in hand, my dude, and yell MAGA out loud. Moonwalk. I can't moonwalk. There's too much gravity on me, but I'm going to stay my butt inside when this thing passes me." But Uber, thank you so much for the comment. Guys, so that's that with that story. The last thing I want to talk about And I'm going to make this brief because we're already over an hour. For everybody that has stuck out this far, if you already haven't, guys, hit that like button. Come on, what are you doing? Hit that like button. And if you already haven't subscribed, make sure you guys subscribe as well. Like, comment, share, subscribe if you like what you heard. And let's continue to rock this thing out. We got one more topic to talk about. And I talked about it yesterday on one of my short videos. So I'm going to keep it really brief. But at the end of the day, I'm just gonna show Steve Scalise's Twitter, because yesterday I showed Jen Psaki talking to White House reporter Peter Doocy, and she said that Republicans were the ones who defunded the police. Republicans want to defund the police. Now, I find this fascinating because it's real-time spinning of a narrative. Well, it's an attempt to spin the narrative. She's trying to say that because Republicans some Republicans voted against the American Rescue Plan, which included some money for police bodies, but it actually had a lot more money for other things that conservatives and Republicans were against. So because of the amount of things that were in the bill that Republicans were against, they said, you know what, we don't want to sign this. Yeah, it provides funding for some police officers and some police agencies, but it's excessive $1 trillion spending is me paraphrasing what Mitch McConnell said about the bill. And he denied it. A lot of other Republicans denied it. And Jen Psaki then uses that to say, well, you see, they denied the American Rescue Plan bill. So it's them that are the ones who, you know, they want to defund the police, because if they actually wanted to fund the police, then they would have signed on with ease for the American Rescue Plan. And it's absolutely garbage, guys, because the reason why Republicans, as I said, decided to reject the bill is because there was a gross amount to the tune of trillions of dollars of extra spending that some Republicans called, pet projects. They didn't want to fund pet projects under the guise of relieving people who are stressed over COVID-19. Anyways, Wesley Buckerfield says, obey Jesus. These people have authority issues. Yes. I mean, hey, if you obey the Most High, then it's going to be nothing for you to obey a police officer when he's doing a routine stop. A lot of these people really, they have a problem with God. They don't have a problem with police. They have a problem with God. And they have never submitted themselves to a higher power. They have never realized that they are not in control. They have never realized that they are the ones who are going to be held accountable for their actions by God. So then when they have an earthly experience, they're like, oh my goodness, the cops are over here holding me accountable. Yes, exactly. Vicky says she needs to quit her day job and just circle back. Yes, she's terrible. She's terrible. I mean, she is terrible. Wesley says, amen. There it is. I love you, bud. Wesley, much love to you too. Love you too, bro. We're brothers in Christ. And at the end of the day, God is in control. At the end of the day, God says for us to obey earthly authorities, especially when they're just doing their routine job. All right. It's not like police officers are pushing some fascist regime and they want to just kill you outright because of the color of your skin or your religious affiliation. No, what we see in America is a person breaks the law, then they get confronted by police, and then they escalate. The citizen escalates the situation because they don't know how to submit to authority. So, Wesley, if they just submitted to God first and foremost, a lot of these issues would pass by them. Or when they reach their doorstep, they would know that the fruits of the Spirit is patience. It's self-control. A lot of these people don't have self-control, which is why they lose their minds with police officers, and then they're surprised when they get shot or tased. So these people have a God problem. That's what it is. All right, last thing I want to show you guys, Steve Scalise, he hit the nail on the head. He absolutely hit a home run with this. Democrats defunded the police. Crime in those cities skyrocketed. Now Democrats are trying to blame Republicans, but everyone knows the truth. Democrats are the party of defund the police. Retweet to expose them. So if you're on Twitter, Steve Scalise, type him in and go to this video and retweet it, because at the end of the day, his little montage, 93,000 views, just hits the nail on the head. Democrats are the ones who push this ridiculous ideology, this ridiculous idea of defunding the police. Take a listen.
We will not be increasing our police budget.
We propose to redirect over.
Why use the word defund? Why use the word defund?
Yes, I support the defund movement.
This is the word that's coming from the streets.
A growing cry to defund the police.
There's some issues that we ask police to do, like mental health issues or policing in schools and all the rest, that perhaps we can shuffle some of that money around.
We will not be increasing our police budget.
We propose to redirect over $7 million from the Police Bureau.
The use of stormtroopers under the guise of law and order.
We've got to re-examine what we're doing with American taxpayer dollars.
We need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
The Minneapolis City Council voting 9-3 in favor of disbanding the police department.
Oh, gosh.
Today in New York, Mayor Bill de Blasio announced a plan to defund the NYPD.
Garbage can top at his head or something like that.
We are committed to shifting resources.
So cities across the country are seeing a major spike in violent crime now.
Violent crime is way up and claiming victims here in Los Angeles at a rate we haven't seen in decades.
Crime surging in Democrat-led cities.
Crimes spiking in Democrat-led cities. Now, guys, I just want to pause it real quick because, and I know I'm not on the screen, but Minneapolis increase of 46% since July 2020. Portland, an increase of 271%. New York City, an increase of 12%. Los Angeles, an increase of 28%. And these are the murder spikes. Murders spike in cities that had this great idea of defunding the police.
That slashed police funding last year. Murders up 46%.
A scary scene earlier this week in New York City. So to shootout in the middle of the street during broad daylight.
The White House trying to shift blame because crime
look
is
at all
out
that.
of control. The Biden administration is desperately trying to spin a new narrative. Now it's the Republicans who support defunding the police.
Democrats embraced this crazy radical idea of defunding the police last summer.
Everyone knows the truth. Democrats are the party that defunded the police. Thank you, Steve Scalise, for that incredible video. So, guys, as you guys could see, I mean, I find it fascinating that Jen Psaki and the White House are attempting to spin a new narrative. I mean, it's really cool to see in real life, like, oh, wow, I'm watching someone try to spin a new narrative. That's interesting. And I'm calling BS to it, just like we all should. But that is it for tonight's live stream. Uber says, I go on at least 2 ride-alongs with my brother each month. Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Always a fun time seeing what my bro does. Next up is ER day with my bro at the hospital. He ain't ready. That's awesome, man. Yeah, ride along and see what people in the field are actually doing. Thank your brother for his service to Duval County and Jacksonville, the city of Jacksonville, because what he does is truly an act of patriotism, and he is a hero. At the end of the day, police officers are the ones that are heroes in our community because they are the ones who are the first line. When something hits the fan, they're the ones who are getting called to it. And they don't even know these people while everybody else would run away. So it takes a level of heroicism, to be a police officer. He says, Uber then says he's going to tag along with me at my nurse job for a change. Awesome. Yes, bro. Thank you for your service for being a nurse. That's also a great thing. I had me and my wife, just as you guys know, we just had our 4th child, and the nurses at Tampa General Hospital were amazing to us. So thank you, Uber, for that. Vicky, well, all Democrat. Yes, all of them are Democratic run states. So, as you guys could see, defunding the police is a bad idea. We've known that from the beginning, and it just feels good to say, hey, I told you so. This is bad. This is bad fiscally. This is bad for the morale of the community. This is bad for the Black people that you say you want to help. All right. If you want to help Black people in the city, then put more cops on the street. Last thing I'll say, I had a friend who was perplexed. He was blown away that there are more police in inner city St. Petersburg, Florida, than there was in his nice suburb just outside of Tampa, Florida. So he used to live in the inner city of St. Petersburg. Then he moved to a nice suburb right outside of Tampa, Florida. And he brought up this question, like, why are there more police officers patrolling the hood than in this affluent community? And he had an honest question, like that was really what he was bringing up. And I was blown away by this, because once I figured out that he was a victim of the tribalism of race, I realized, bro, you lived in inner city St. Pete. You see the shootings. You see what's going on over there. You see the drugs. Why are you asking the question, why is there more police in inner city than in affluent communities? Well, it's because there's more violent crime in inner cities than affluent communities. And this is the same person who would advocate for defunding and abolishing the police. And yet he has this question. He has this, he really thinks that it's a bad thing that more police are in the hood, that are in the inner city St. Pete, it's a bad thing that there's more police there than in a nice suburb in Tampa, Florida. I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys, but as you guys can see, and like we said, we told you so. Defunding the police is a bad idea. Defunding the police is only going to hurt those poor members in the Black and brown community, and even some white people who are stuck in that area. So it's just a bad move for the entire city. Because if there are little pockets of violent acts, well, that's bad for the entire city. There should be no acts of violence. And if there was more police out there patrolling that, then crime would go down. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for you guys tonight. I thank you guys for sticking with me tonight. Happy Tuesday. This July 6th, 2021. I hope you guys enjoyed your July 4th, your Independence Day, and you actually celebrated your freedom, because we're all free. Unlike what Cori Bush says, Black, brown, and white people are free. Indigenous people are free. We are free to be whatever we want to be. I just hope that we choose to be something that God looks at and says yes to, and somebody that can walk around with integrity. And not be a person who walks in darkness, not be a person who breaks the law. I hope we use our freedom to be people that help others. We enrich ourselves, because we are a capitalist country. Enriching yourself is actually a good thing. But I hope we use our freedoms to just affirm those truths and move ourselves, our families, and our communities forward. I thank you guys so much for being here. Like I said earlier, I finally got my Patreon back up and popping. So if you guys want to support the channel via Patreon, I will have that link in the description below, just as well as PayPal and Cash App. Most importantly, guys, hit that like button. If you already haven't, subscribe to the channel. I will be trying to be more consistent, and not more consistent. I've been very consistent. That's not what I meant to say. I will continue to be consistent. I will try to continue to be consistent. Even though now we have 4 children, and post at least 3 to 4 times a week. So thank you guys for being here. Make sure your notifications are turned on so that when I make a post, I do a community post, you guys are there. You guys will see it, because that's where I let you know first and foremost if I'm going to do a live, is in the community tab. So guys, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all the support. God bless. I hope you guys have a great week. I will see you guys throughout the week with new content as the news develops. But as always, guys, God bless. I will see you good people on the next one. Peace.